Welcome to the Senior Care Summit 2024. My name is Pam Dunwald, and I am one of your two nurse advocates from Your Nurse Advocate Consulting, and we're hosting the Senior Care Summit. And I am very honored to introduce you to Jennifer Forrester. Her company is Senior Care Referral Sources of Colorado, and they are a placement service for aging adults and their families to look at alternative senior housing. And this video is going to be part of our Area of Need 2, which is navigating the healthcare system. So let me welcome Jennifer Forrester. Jennifer, it's very nice to have you here. Welcome and take it away.
Okay, well, thank you, Pam. I appreciate you having me today. So today we're just going to talk about navigating the complex landscape of senior living. So we're going to talk about the vast options of senior living, challenges faced by seniors, utilization of a senior referral placement agent, and what to consider. So there are some reasons we're talking about this today. So senior living is important and relevant for several reasons. And I'm not going to read through every single one of these because we'd be here all day. But you can imagine, the aging population. We are aging and life expectancy is rising. And so the number of seniors in need of appropriate living arrangements grows, as our population grows. The health and well-being of seniors. Seniors often face unique health challenges, and their living environment plays a crucial role in their well-being. So senior living options are designed to provide the necessary support and care, promoting a healthier and more comfortable lifestyle for elderly individuals. Quality of life. Senior living communities are designed to enhance that quality of life for residents. They look at the social activities, the health, nutrition, meals. There's so many things that go into the senior living environment that we need to consider. You also look at family dynamics. As individuals age, their families may face challenges in providing adequate care and support. I'm sure you see that often, Pam, in your role as a coordinator.
A lot of families, they're living across the country. They need eyes and ears for their aging loved one.
Absolutely. Yes. So lots of things to consider here. Also, of course, the social isolation. Many seniors experience social isolation, especially if they live alone or have limited mobility. That's the good thing about senior living communities. They provide a built-in social network. They foster companionship, which reduces feelings of stress and loneliness. That social engagement has also been linked to better mental and emotional well-being among the elderly. Safety and security is also of consideration. Many seniors face concerns in their own homes, such as fall risk, difficulties with activities of daily living. Senior living communities are designed with safety in mind, and so they incorporate lots of features to ensure a safe environment. Not to mention the economic impact. The senior living industry has a significant economic impact. It generates employment opportunities and contributes to the local economy. So as the demand for senior living options increase, there's a growing need for various professionals. That could be caregivers, healthcare providers, and support staff of all, many different types of support staff. So let's talk about senior living. Senior living refers to a broad range of residential and care services designed to meet the unique needs and preferences of our older adults as they age. The communities are tailored to provide support. They enrich the lives and environment of our seniors, offering various levels of care based on individual requirements. So these communities are tailored to provide a supportive and enriching environment for our seniors, offering various levels of assistance and care based on the individual requirements of that person. The goal of senior living is to enhance the overall quality of life for older adults by promoting independence, social engagement, and of course, well-being. Some of the key components of senior living that we're going to talk about today are independent living, assisted living, memory care, senior cohabitate housing. Some of the key components of senior living that we're going to talk about today are independent living, assisted living, memory care, senior co-housing. So that could be board and care homes in residential neighborhoods. And then continuing care retirement communities, also known as CCRCs, and skilled nursing facilities.
So before we go in to describing the different levels of senior housing, can we just take a minute, Jennifer? What would be some of the considerations? Like if you're talking with someone and they're considering senior placement, what what are some of the things that they're considering between aging in place versus the senior living community? What are some of the things that they need to look at?
I mean, I think if you're thinking about aging in place, you definitely, want to think about your home environment. Is it safe to age in place? Because a lot of the seniors that I come in contact with live in like a tri-level home, where there's stairs that are hard to navigate as aging happens. Maybe there's, like in my own home, I don't have a banister down one of my stairs. So that would be unsafe for a senior to not have, that type of handrail for navigating those stairs. You want to think about safety. Are you in a safe environment? Are you a fall risk? Are you alone? If you're a fall risk and you're alone and you fall, that could be quite detrimental. If you think about that, I'm sure you've seen that a lot in your career. People
Absolutely. I
fall
mean,
and things happen.
yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody, I mean, I know it's very popular to age in place, and as a former home care nurse, we've supported many people to age in place. And sometimes you can age in place, but there may become a time where that's just no longer feasible or where it's just not safe anymore. And when you talked about, being alone, if you've got family members that live across the state or out of town, I mean, you have to consider that social aspect, especially when we went through the pandemic. I mean, the social, our seniors and the social determinants of health and being isolated was a huge issue. So I know that isolation is something really to consider, especially if you're alone.
for sure. And also, I mean, you think about access to like groceries and things like that for a senior who's living alone, that maybe they're not driving anymore and they have limited help. Are they able to get the nutrition that they need to get to the store to get those groceries? And that's what's good about senior living communities is they provide, for assisted living, they provide all three meals, and most independent communities will provide at least two of the three
You
daily
know,
meals. So
I think about where we live. I mean, we're 25 minutes to the closest Walmart. So if you've got seniors living alone in a rural community, access to food, groceries, and medical attention is going to be really something that they need to consider.
oh, for sure, yeah. So those are a lot of things to think about that we've just talked about for sure. So yes, isolation, nutrition, safety, and is the home safe to live in? There's so many things to consider. Yeah.
All right. So share with us, what are the different types of living arrangements that they
Okay.
consider?
Yeah. So there's lots of different, senior living communities vary in size, services that they offer, amenities that they have. And so we'll just talk about a few of those. So independent living is probably it's the initial entry level. I didn't add this on here, but if you think about typically a 55 and up community could be also considered here because it's prior to independent living. There are 55 and up communities that offer just that more of that socialization piece, but the rest is complete independence.
Mhm.
And no meals, things like that. It's more of an active adult community. And then you move into independent living, which is they're designed for active and self-sufficient seniors who want to live in a social and maintenance-free environment. If you think about independent living, they're going to take care of all that maintenance, like this just said. And they also have amenities like restaurants, so you get meals. Typically, part of the care plan, 2 meals per day is going to be provided for. Some communities will provide for 3, but typically it's 2, on the average, or some of them have meal plans where only so many in a month you can buy are provided, and then the rest you can buy if you want additional meals. So there's all kinds of options in independent living to make sure that your nutritional needs are met. And then, of course, they have lots of recreational activities, social events, common dining areas, lots of opportunities to socialize with your fellow residents and get to know each other and just develop those tight relationships, that are so important to us
And
just even before
yeah,
we age.
and interacting with people their own age, of their own, generational,
Right.
background, where they can relate better. I mean, unlike, maybe trying to relate to someone, 30 years younger than them, they can speak generational. So I think
Absolutely.
that's huge with our seniors.
Yes, for sure. And then if you look at that the next level up would be assisted living. So assisted living communities are designed more with, if you think about activities of daily living that someone might need help with, but don't require constant medical care. So services may include help with bathing, dressing, medication management is almost always included, and meal prep, of course. And so the assisted living aims to maintain residents' independence, but while also offering that support as needed. And I think the statistic I heard recently was 40% of the residents in an assisted living community have some sort of cognitive decline. So when we talk about the next level here, which is memory care, keep in mind that a lot of cognitive deficits can be maintained in an assisted living environment. Memory care does come into play when you have a more severe cognitive decline, so that the later stages of Alzheimer's and dementia, all the different types of dementias. So the memory care community specializes in providing care and support for individuals with Alzheimer's and other diseases and other forms of dementia. So they offer that secure environment, and it's structured. So they have, staff that's trained there for the memory care client. They also, a lot of communities they provide it's a mind diet that's focused on, on enhancing the brain as much as possible. And they keep activities going, most of the day. The goal is to keep the resident out of their room, to keep them engaged in activities, and keep their mind, as engaged as possible as that decline happens in that disease process.
So Jennifer, when I'm thinking about what you do as far as you help, the aging adults and families select the most appropriate living situation for them, do you find that different assisted livings may offer different things, or some may take care of people that are need a little bit more advanced care versus not? So is that something that you need to learn when looking at services? Is that, because I find that not every assisted living is the same.
You are 100% correct. Yes, they vary across it's amazing to me actually how much, they all are obviously very similar in structure and basic services provided, but there are some that will take a higher level of care, or, a higher acuity resident, and then some that really prefer, I've even heard people say assisted living light, because they don't want that higher acuity resident. They just want the basics, basic activities of daily living and meals. And so, yeah, the gamut is wide for different types of communities that are out there and what they can and cannot do. But they're all regulated by, state regulations, assisted living on what they have to do. But then there's some wiggle room in there on, how high the acuity they want to take. And it's all based on staffing. And yeah. So any other thoughts on that before we move on?
No, I think we're good.
So if you look at the next level of care, which is senior co-housing. So in this model, seniors live in private residences within a community. So they share the common spaces and resources. Typically there's less residents to staff. So if you think about a residential care home, typically they're anywhere from 8 to 14 residents, whereas a traditional memory care could be 20 to 60 residents, and assisted living could be anywhere from 40 to 300, depending on the community. There's just so many different sizes. So the senior co-housing refers to that residential care home model, where it's more less residents per staff, and they really focus on social interaction, mutual support, collaboration among residents, and just trying to, it's more of that home environment. So that's an option. It's a lot of them focus really on a memory care as well, because it's such a great environment to do that, because it's a smaller environment and the one-on-one care can be pretty intentional. So, and then you have continuing care retirement communities, which are known as CCRCs. And so this is a community that offers a continuum of care. So it starts at independent living, you can transition to assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing if you need it, and it's all on one campus. So it's a comprehensive and seamless approach to aging in place, if you will. So everything should be in one location where you don't have to, obviously if you had a medical event and you needed to go to a hospital, you would, but then you would come back to the CCRC for skilled nursing, rehab, things like that. And then, of course, if your care is more than assisted living or memory care can provide, they have that skilled nursing component so that you can stay long term. So, do you see a lot of folks, Pam, in your
Yes, I mean, I think some of the nicest communities are those that have all the levels of care where you can start out independent and then you can, navigate to assisted living, and they also have, a skilled nursing facility on the campus. So I think those are really nice because they really only have to move once and
right?
they're there. So, but again,
Yeah,
it all depends on what they want, what their needs are. So that's
right.
where that's your job. So
Exactly, yes. And if you think about people that some people, even if you were to move into a CCRC, you would still have to move rooms from,
right,
you went
right,
to different levels of care.
right.
There are some communities that assisted living and independent living communities that have a dual license. And so once you move let's say you move into independent living and then it becomes necessary for you to have the extra support of assisted living, you can stay in your same room. Um, so
Right.
that's what's nice.
I do have one question, and I know when we've had clients, sometimes this has been a sticking point. I'm just thinking of a past client where he was on the independent side. He was having a surgical procedure and was going to need help, like with bowel prep and things like that. And the assisted living side couldn't provide those services because he was on in the independent side. So I guess we have to really be clear on when we're choosing that, just what services are available, what they can and cannot do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because yeah, you could find yourself in that very case where you may have to move from independent living to assisted, um, or possibly get extra care in the form of home health, in the independent side if it wasn't feasible to move the AL side. So the last one we're going to talk about here is skilled nursing facilities. So this is what we refer to as, traditionally used to be known as nursing homes. Now we refer to them as long-term care skilled nursing facilities. So they provide that 24-hour medical care and supervision. So they have nurses on staff 24 hours a day, whereas assisted living and independent living, they do not. They typically are there during the day and then on call. So skilled nursing care includes medical services, rehabilitation, and assistance with daily activities. So that's really for that comprehensive high acuity resident that is unable to age in place in their assisted living or independent living.
So
So
Jennifer, do you find that sometimes too, say someone is living in assisted living and they're going to have a hip or a knee replacement. You see, oftentimes they may go to the skilled nursing facility, for a rehab, but then can maybe then get back to their assisted living.
yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So it's hard to explain for some folks, but yes. So in those skilled nursing facilities, there's a rehab side and a long-term care side. So the rehab side is for short-term rehabilitation. You're getting therapy every day to get, to improve, to go back to your living situation, whatever that might be, whether it's home, assisted living, independent living. Whereas on the long-term care skilled side, you are living there. And that's where you reside for the long term. So,
Okay.
okay, so let's talk about the aging population. In the United States, the baby boomer generation, which is those born between 1946 and 1964, is a significant contributor to the aging population. Statistics show that by 2030, all baby boomers will be over the age of 65, and it's estimated that nearly 20% of the U.S. population will be 65 or older. So that's I think I've heard it referred to as the silver tsunami. What?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so, with that aging population, it poses challenges to the healthcare system, globally. So the prevalence of chronic health conditions and the need for assistance with activities of daily living increase with age, leading to a growing demand for healthcare services and long-term care options. So if you look at the increasing need for senior living options, the demand for senior living options occurs because the aging population increases. So there's a corresponding rise in the demand for senior living options that can provide those various levels of care and support that we've kind of already talked about.
So
Um,
Jennifer, do you see many facilities that have waiting lists?
yes, yes, oftentimes there are communities that have waiting lists. Yeah. Um, because maybe it's a, a popular area, maybe it's just the neighborhood itself where a senior living community might be. There's all kinds of reasons for that, or maybe their care is just they're known for their care. It's exceptional. And so they're going to have waiting lists. So yes, for sure. Um, and then the economic and social implications, the aging population has economic and social implications, including increased demand for healthcare professionals, caregivers, and senior focused services. I think, governments and communities are grappling with are we prepared to take care of this silver tsunami that's coming? I think they talk about that all the time about the need to increase the infrastructure and things like that. So, not to mention the prevalence of Alzheimer's disease and dementia. The risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia increases with age, as we know. And the growing aging population has led to an increased prevalence of these conditions, which leads to a need for more memory care options for those that are afflicted with that disease. So, yeah, that's Alzheimer's is one of those things that's it's near and dear to my heart just because I had a 10-year career in hospice, and so I've just seen so many families um, just have to go through that disease is it's yeah,
It's very cool.
it's yeah, it is. It's not yeah, there's so much we could talk about that for hours, so I'll move on. So some of the challenges that we talk about that our seniors are facing is, chronic healthcare conditions. If you look at all the prevalence of how many chronic illnesses are there now, it's not just comorbidities anymore, it's multiple morbidities. I mean, we don't just have heart disease and lung disease. We've got heart disease, we've got diabetes, we've got kidney, which leads to kidney disease. We've got lung disease, and then of course the various cancers, and now Alzheimer's, which is so prevalent. So many health conditions that our seniors are facing. Social isolation, we've talked about that already a little bit. But the social isolation can lead to an earlier death, just because people can retreat and be so isolated that they don't have a purpose and a reason, to live. I've seen that many times, and we all need a purpose and a reason to be here. And even my 109-year-old grandmother says she has a reason. She's not sure why she's here, but since she's still here, she wants to do something to serve people. So she likes to give big tips if she goes to a restaurant, or she does little things like that, gives everybody Christmas money. So
That's awesome.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, and mobility and independence is of course another factor that our seniors are facing. They have limited muscle strength, joint issues. They're dependent on others, and maybe they don't have that support system to be dependent on. So they need the environment of a community where they have that on-site care that's built in. And then of course financial concerns. A lot of folks are on fixed incomes. So that leaves them relying on pensions, Social Security, savings, and financial constraints can limit access to necessary healthcare, medications, and quality living arrangements. And of course, the rising healthcare costs.
Jennifer, can we just speak briefly on how assisted living, how are these communities paid for?
Yes, so out of pocket primarily is, it's so private pay or most independent living, assisted living, and memory cares. And then, of course, there are, if you are a veteran, there's access to VA benefits that can assist. And then folks that have thought ahead and paid for long-term care insurance, they have that is also a way to help pay for these communities. Now, if you're looking at the long-term care skilled nursing home, that's different. That is paid for either privately out of your pocket, or if you qualify for Medicaid, then Medicaid will pay for the nursing home.
Now, do
Excuse
you find, Jennifer, I know in Wisconsin, I know you're in Colorado, and I know it's different state by state, but do you find too that some of the community based community options programs that are along that Medicaid line will help to pay for assisted living and when you have lower income?
Typically, there are some that are on the lower end, price point wise. So that does make it easier. However, they are still seem to be out of reach for that person who's only on a Social Security
Mhm.
check a month. So typically what you see is that places will at least provide a spend down option. So you would have to
Mhm.
spend down your assets. If you own a home, you would sell that home and use that to pay for your care until you reach the limit for Medicaid, and it's specific for each state. I think this year for Colorado, I think it's around 26,000. You can have more than that in your well, actually 26,000 a year is the income level, and then you'd have to spend down to where you don't have more than a couple of grand in your
Yeah,
savings.
that's
Yeah, and
similar to,
so
yep,
yeah,
that's similar to Wisconsin. It's like you can, it's $2,500 in assets. You can have a car,
yeah,
but you can
car
live in
is
your home. But if you're looking at going somewhere else, then the expectation is they would count that home as an asset if you weren't going to be living there. So yes,
right. Yeah.
very similar. Mhm.
Yeah,
Well,
so there
best.
are communities that will allow you to pay the market rate for that community for a such time. I've seen most of them are 2 years, but there are some that will do a year spend down and even a 6 month spend down. Those are rare, but there are a few communities that will. So if you have a small amount to spend down, you would pay the full market price for, let's say, 6 months. And then you would get on Medicaid, and they would actually put you on what's called Innovage in Colorado, and so then Innovage takes care of part of that, paying the rest of that rent, but you do have to usually move to a smaller room or a shared room because the
Mhm.
community is only getting a fraction
Mhm.
of what the market rate for that room is.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and yeah, that makes total sense. So bottom line is this isn't something that you should just wake up one morning and say, we need to look at alternatives. I mean, this is something that really, so in speaking to these adult children of these aging parents, or the 50 and above, where you're approaching those golden years, is really need to think about it, what you want those aging years to look like, and where you're going to live, and how you're going to take care of yourself. I know, we had a client who had Alzheimer's. The husband says, just make me one promise that you keep her at home and not put her in a facility. And I said, that's going to be tough. I said, we ended up being able to do it. However, I mean, she had behaviors, ingestion of things. Um, I mean, he spent way more on 24/7 care at home than he would have, but that was his wish and that was his goal. So I guess what I'm saying by all this is you really need to think about what your goals are. How do you want to age, and what family support do you have? What can your family help with, what they cannot? So really it takes a lot of thought. Someone as you for senior placement, or a patient advocate, something ahead of time to at least help you look at what your options are and then point you to those resources.
Right, because if you don't start thinking about it now or talking about it now, like you said, you don't just wake up one day and go, oh, I want to, unless you have just, assets that, for that you don't have to worry about, that money is not an issue, then it's really, we should all be thinking about it, yeah, early on. I've been paying for long-term care insurance myself for 10 years. Thankfully I got in on it when it was, my monthly rate is not out of this world. It's gone up over every year, but it's
Mhm.
people tell me now that are my age that are pricing long-term care insurance, and it's $500 a month, and mine is less than
Yeah.
100, because
That's
10 years
amazing. Yeah.
ago I
Yep.
started this.
Mhm.
So, because I think I'm going to need it someday to help pay for my care. So yes, it's definitely something to plan ahead for. So again, we're just going to continue with our challenges faced by seniors, housing and living arrangements, home maintenance. If you think about all the things that you do in your own home now, think about what those look like when you're a senior trying to do them, whether you have a leaky faucet, your, damaged roof, maybe you have a window that gets damaged by hail. I mean, you just think about all the different things that can occur in a home. Your refrigerator stops working. I mean, there's so many things that happen, that become more difficult for a senior as they age. And then, of course, access to suitable housing. So, finding affordable and accessible housing options that accommodate changing needs. Because if you think about there's lots of tri-level homes. I don't know where you are,
Yes,
Pam,
there
but
are.
here in
Yep.
Colorado, there's lots of tri-level homes, which make it, a concern for a senior who's aging in place.
Yeah, and
Um,
you've got mowing the lawn, snow
yeah,
removal. I mean,
yeah. I mean, my neighborhood, it's like you have to get the snow off the sidewalk within 24 hours. Or supposedly they can give you a ticket. So, and that's a concern if you're a senior, then you're going to have to hire someone, to do that for you. If you can no longer do it yourself. And then of course, mental health, that's such it's been a buzzword for how many years since oh gosh, they closed seems like all the mental health things down. They just started doing away with them a few years ago. I think they're saying that was a problem, and I think there's more starting to open up again. But that's a big problem, depression and anxiety in our seniors, because especially if they're, isolated and they have health issues that are causing them even more depression. And as you lose loved ones, it
yeah,
causes
and
depression and anxiety.
we're very fortunate. We have a geriatric nurse practitioner who's going to talk about depression, dementia, and delirium in one of our videos. So that'll be a great one. But yes, it's a huge topic now. And I think, it's sad to say, but I think the pandemic has, really brought forward the need to, to look at our seniors and their
Right.
access. We look at inclusivity and, making sure everybody has access. Well, our seniors have been hit hard.
Yeah, and access to any kind of mental health has been really squeezed pretty tight. So yeah, we definitely need to take a look at that. And of course the stigma around it, people are embarrassed if they have any kind of mental health diagnosis, and it's a real thing, and people, they need to be able to have those avenues to get the care that they need. And then of course, access to healthcare. So there are healthcare disparities, access to healthcare services, transportation, to get to medical appointments, that can impact how that senior ages, if they're not getting timely care. Limited health literacy, some seniors may face challenges in understanding and navigating the complex healthcare system. I mean, it's difficult for me to navigate sometimes. I've got a new I've got to find new doctors this year because insurance change, and I haven't done it yet because and I've known for 4 months now that I need to do that and I haven't done it yet. So because it's just daunting. So imagine for an elderly senior what that looks like. And then of course end of life planning, decisions about end of life care, seniors face they grapple with those decisions about end of life care, including advanced care planning, hospice care, and addressing their preferences for medical treatment. It's just a hard topic to talk about, and I know you've experienced that, and that with a career in hospice prior to this, it's a tough conversation for sure. But
Mhm.
we all we all are going the same direction. Life is finite. We have to be able to talk about those things and talk about what we want, make sure we have a plan in place.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about senior referral placement agents, which is what I do. So a senior referral placement agent is also known as a senior living advisor or placement consultant. So I'm a professional who assists seniors and their families in finding suitable housing options based on their specific needs and preferences. For the market here in Colorado alone, there's over 450 plus communities in this market, just in the Denver metro. I think there's over 700 in Colorado, but just in the Denver metro, and surrounding communities, there's over 450. So there are a lot of communities, a lot of different options, like we talked about earlier, that run the scope of what they offer. And so a placement agent is knowledgeable about various types of senior living communities, the services that they provide, and their primary goal is to help seniors transition to environments that cater to their health, their lifestyle, and their care requirements. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but there are specific questions that we go through to get to know our clients, to make sure we understand those things. What environment do they want to be in? What care needs do they have? What does their lifestyle look like? What's their budget? What's their location? So there's all kinds of things that we look at. Pause. So what are the key responsibilities and functions of a senior referral placement agent? So first thing we start with is a comprehensive assessment. At least I do, and I'm a part of the COPRA, which is the Colorado chapter of the National Referral Placement Alliance. And so that's our trade association. And so we have a comprehensive assessment that we utilize under that COPRA chapter that helps us understand the specific care requirements and understanding their preferences. So we gain insight into the senior's lifestyle. What did they do before? Yeah, now, and what are they doing? Versus what did they used to enjoy versus what do they enjoy now? Where what are their care needs? What's the location? What kind of amenities might be important to them? I had a client who really wanted a balcony. In assisted living, those are kind of hard to find. In independent living, you find all kinds, balconies. But in assisted living, because of safety concerns, there's not always going to be a balcony as an option. But knowing that that's important to that person help me navigate finding a community that at least had outdoor opportunities for them to enjoy on the campus. So. And of course, educating the families. We do a lot of educating the families on the different options that are out there, including assisted living, independent living, memory care, skilled nursing communities. We just educate on what the differences are in each of those and the levels of care. And then we help navigate those options. Basically I do all the investigative discovery of all the communities that might be an option for a client, based on the location preference that they have, their budget, the care needs that they have, and any amenities that might be important to them. So we help navigate that vast landscape. We bring it's like a concierge approach, if you will. So we don't charge the client, at least my services aren't charged to the client. I receive a referral fee if I were to place a person in a community that I have an agreement with. So that's how that works as far as my services go. So I do all the legwork. I set up the tours. I go on the tours with the family, make sure that all those questions are being asked, and make sure that anything they've shared with me in my discovery is not missed on that tour, so that they're able to find that that perfect option. So again, arranging those tours, helping to facilitate transitions. So for example, if a person is in rehab, I'm helping to connect the rehab to the community to make sure that all the paperwork gets there so that they can get moved in. If the person isn't in a rehab, they have to have an order from their doctor to say that they're appropriate for assisted living. So I could help facilitate getting that paperwork. If the client has a most form on file with the doctor, getting that to the community, just helping to, navigate all those different things. And so of course, networking with communities, as a placement agent, it's important to know it's impossible to know every single community and when there's 450 and they change often. So it's just a constant reintroducing yourself as changes happen in different communities. But, knowing those communities, building those relationships so that we stay abreast of what's going on in the different communities and knowing all those changes that are occurring. And then, of course, advocating for that family to make sure that they are in the best place possible that, that meets their needs and the care needs and that they can afford. And then ongoing support. So it's just, being there for that family. And let's say we place a family and 3 months later, maybe it's not what they thought it was. So maybe they need a higher level of care, whatever that might be. It's just ongoing support to that family to help them navigate whatever they might need, even in the future.
So Jennifer, do you find that assisted livings, are they normally able to accommodate special diets or anything, or some do a better job than others? Is that something that has to be considered?
I would say that's fair. Yes, some do a better job than others, for sure. But most assisted living communities have, they pride themselves on their chef and on their ability to meet, the needs of that individual resident. So most communities, I would say, the food is going to be, it's hot, if especially they have a 5-star chef, then it's going to be really great, but they do try to make it more subtle for, so that it's not too salty, because knowing that a senior is going to have likely restrictions for salt, and there's lots of diabetics that are out there, so that you
Yeah,
have to
heart
consider as
issues.
well.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they can pretty much they can cater within reason
Mhm.
to many diet restrictions for sure. Did that answer your question there?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so why do you want to use a senior referral placement agent? I think one of the biggest things is it's at no cost. At least most of the services of the people that I know and work with in the Denver and Colorado community, most of them don't cost the client anything. Like I said a minute ago, so that's a great benefit, because you have someone doing all that legwork. When we serve as a bridge between the senior and the appropriate living arrangement. And so it's just plays a crucial role in helping to navigate the complex landscape of senior living that's out here. So number one is, expertise and knowledge. We have to know these communities, even if, excuse me, even if I don't know a community and I get a new client and they want to be in maybe a specific area I haven't been to yet, I'm going to go and explore those communities before I'm going to present that to them as an option, because I want to know that where I'm taking them is a viable option that can meet their needs. So that expertise and knowledge, time and stress reduction. If you think about the time it takes to make all these phone calls, and to do the legwork, to do the different tours, even prior to presenting them to a client. There's that takes a lot of time and stress off of that family. Objective guidance. So, I'm going to offer an objective guidance, helping families make informed decisions based on the specific needs and circumstances of the senior. And it's not going to be biased for anything from my end. It's going to be based on what their needs are, and finding that environment that meets their needs. Now I will, as agents, we do have a responsibility if we know a community maybe is going through turmoil, or or something like that, because sometimes it can, for whatever reason, there's all of a sudden turnover in the building. So we may steer away from those when we know, until they get settled. And so just making sure, because we don't want to put someone in an unsafe environment. And then of course, access to resources, as placement agents, we often have a network of, of folks in our arsenal to help with any kind of resource you can think of. So we can provide a range of things to help suit that person's needs. And then a customized solution, of course, a senior referral placement agent tailors our recommendations to the unique needs and preference of each senior. So we try to make it, more of a personalized match rather than just throwing a dart at the wall. We try to make it really personalized, and a concierge service is what I like to say.
So Jennifer, we talked ahead of time, so we knew we were gonna touch on this. So, what would you say are the biggest differences between utilizing a senior referral placement, an independent agent, versus the big corporate entities, a Place for Mom,
Yeah.
Care Patrol? What are the differences between going with someone who's independent versus that big, national type of company?
So the web-based, like you said, a Place for Mom, caring.com, senior advisors, there's all kinds of now web-based agents, so if you will, but we'll call it a lead. Those are more of a lead service. So the difference in that is if you call a Place for Mom, they're going to shoot your information out to, as I understand it, to, it could be 10, 15 different communities. And then each of those communities is going to start making phone calls to you. So your phone's going to go, crazy, because everybody's trying to call and get you to schedule a tour. And it may not even be a good place. It may be out of your budget. B, they might not be able to accommodate your care needs. There's lots of different things to consider. And with the online, since it's not a personalized service, it's a lead generator. They're just sending your information out to, 10, 15 different communities in the hopes that you're going to land at one. And then once you do, they get paid a referral fee. And also they own your name for a couple of years, I believe it is now. So if you were to, let's say you were looking and you were in the Place for Moms database in May of 2023, and then in June of 2024, you decided to move. So maybe you were even in a different state. If your name is in their database, they're going to get credit for your move, and they will get paid a referral fee whether they helped you or not. So it's just something to consider. They do have their place, because a lot of times maybe that's what's best for someone. So if that's what's best for someone, is just shoot that information out and get all those phone calls and to try and navigate that, then that's absolutely the best fit if that's what works for someone.
But for the same, I mean, you're not charging them anything. They're not
Right.
charging them anything. So for
Right.
the same cost to the family, I mean, you could get a more personalized service.
Personalized, yeah. And I like to say concierge service, because it's just we're doing everything we can with you. The client is my number one priority, and all the needs that have been expressed during my discovery call. That's what drives me to find that perfect spot that's going to fit the location, the budget, the care needs, and then anything that might be important to them, amenity wise. So,
And that's as an advocate, I mean, I would rely on that. I mean, if I'm working with a client, maybe we've got through healthcare challenge, maybe they're home, we're trying to put plans in place, we meet the family, they opt to maybe choose some form of senior living. Well, I'm going to want to reach out to a resource that's what you do. So I would want to reach out to someone like you that I know, that I've talked with you, I've worked with you. I know what you're going to do versus just giving them go online, because I mean, that's my reputation as well. And if they had a bad experience, that's on me as well. So,
right.
as an advocate, I want to make sure that I'm, giving resources that I know will serve them well.
Right. And there's nothing like being with a client and going on a couple of tours, and then just seeing, you can see them when you walk into the one that fits them the best, and that you can just see the relief, kind of their shoulders kind of go down. And then when we meet with the community advisor that's there and go through all the, all the amenities and everything, and they go through the details of the community, you just see that. I mean, it happened to me the other day, last week, and the client, we left and they just felt so good. They've got a plan for dad when he gets out of rehab. It felt good to them from all accounts, and so there's just nothing like that, to be able to help a family, you're providing that, that
Absolutely.
plan.
And what's missing is those big services where you're going to have the agencies calling you. They're not going to have the go-between. They're not going to have
Right.
you there to explain so they understand what they're telling them that the services are. I mean, there's someone there to advocate for them. And so
Right.
that to me is another huge, huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's so many positives to using a referral agent, just because, and the biggest one is it's at no cost. So why not let that person do all the legwork, and bring you those communities that fit you best. So you don't have to do all that, because there's just so many to choose from, and so many different things that they offer, and they all have different specials at different times. And so, yeah, there's a lot to know. So when you're thinking about, using an agent, there's some things to consider. The experience and expertise. It doesn't have to mean, experience in placing people per se. You could be, I mean, if they have healthcare, senior industry knowledge. Just I'm taking myself, for example, I've had a 10-year career in hospice. I've worked with families. I've been, close with them, when they've had to navigate difficult conversations, and then knowing the healthcare community, there's lots of experience in a lot of ways other than just placing a person. Does that make sense, Pam? So
Absolutely.
yeah, in my experience, I've had experience in placement for over the last 6 months, and 10 years in hospice, and 10 years before that in durable medical equipment. I was a respiratory therapist. I mean, there's just so many things that have built on in my career that I believe have led me to to the placement industry, and I just love it. So I love helping families. So knowledge of local communities is, is another one. Professional credentials and affiliations. There is a certification that's called a CSA, Certified Senior Advisor. There's also the National Placement and Referral Alliance, which I alluded to a minute ago. The one in Colorado is called COPRA, so it's the Colorado chapter of the NPRA. And of course, client testimonials, if you can find any client testimonials, feedback, reviews, even from other professionals, a transparent process. We have a disclosure form that we provide to families when they come on board, when they want to work with an agent. I provide a disclosure form that just explains, how I get paid, and that I have no, interest in any community. This is all about the client and trying to place them, even if that means placing them somewhere where maybe there's not a referral agreement and there's not going to be a stipend given. This is about the client's needs, not my own, if that makes sense. So
Yes, and I appreciate, I really appreciate that, because, as we talk to, that's so important, is they're looking to you, to us, they're looking to the professionals to advocate for them and look out for their best interests. And that's the one beauty of being independent, is that your only loyalty is to that client, to provide
right.
the best that you can find for them. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep. And then of course that personalized approach, which we've talked about, Pam, we're gonna you want to assess the agent's commitment to that personalized approach. There are a lot of things, a lot of agents that I've heard maybe don't do the full personalized approach. So you just want to make sure that agent is still committed to doing that. They should take time to understand the unique needs and preferences of the senior and the family, and then tailor those recommendations accordingly. And so also knowing the range of services. So you want to ask about the range of services offered by the placement agent. Just like I may have, like I mentioned earlier, I have a whole list of resources to offer folks even if I'm not what they need. Maybe they want to age in place in their own home and moving isn't really the best option for them. Well, I'm going to have connections for non-medical home care companies so they can at least get care in their home if they can afford that. Or maybe they need a senior real estate person. Maybe they need to sell their home and they don't have that in place yet. So, making sure I'm connecting them to those types of resources, or a senior law attorney, or I'm trying to think, a home health company. There's so many, a financial planner, there's so many things that I have in my book of resources. And so that's kind of what that range of services is talking about. Of course, a network of senior living communities. You should have a broad network of connections with the senior living communities, so that you can present those good options to the client. Communication skills, effective communication is obviously key. So you want someone who's going to be responsive, who listens actively and communicates clearly. A good agent should keep the family informed throughout the process and address any concerns promptly. Ethical practices, ensure the placement agent operates with high ethical standards, so that, there are some, like we mentioned a minute ago, Pam, maybe there's a community that doesn't pay referral fees. So you don't want an agent that's not going to present a community to you because there's not a financial incentive for them to do so. This should be, an agent's role is to put that client first, and their needs come above anything else. So availability and accessibility, definitely want someone that's responsive and that's available to be there for you when you need them, even if you need to tour communities on the weekend. That's definitely something that I do, and I don't know any agent that doesn't, but I'm sure there are some that don't. And then of course, referral from healthcare professionals. If you can get that, ask other healthcare professionals, have you worked with this person? Do you know about their reputation in the market, or, things like that. Okay, so we talked about this a minute ago, kind of, Pam, but not all agents are created equal. We've kind of been touching on it kind of throughout our talk. But you want an agent who's going to be, that communicates with you, that's on a personal level with you, that's there to guide you throughout this process, and that provides individualized assistance, that has the ability to build that relationship with you. I've heard stories of there are just some agents that maybe they don't have that skill set, I guess, or they feel like they're just sending a lead to a community, so they don't even go on tours with the family. So there are some differences in agents, of course. You want an agent that's going to communicate with you throughout the process, provide good follow-up. I like to check in with my families, each month after they've moved, just to make sure things are still going okay, and to see if there's anything they need. So just you want to have that good communication. A web-based platform. So like we talked about a minute ago, a place for mom, they operate through the web. And so families can access a database of senior living communities. They can view the reviews and things like that. So there are positives to the online service, but if you do click on it, you just have to be prepared, because you're going to get lots of phone calls after that, because they just want to make sure they seal that, get you in their lead bank. So the online services are more self-service. It's more of an information access, versus a personalized service, and their communication and follow-up may be less than supportive once you've been placed. And like I said, online services can own the client's name for up to 2 years. So that means that they'll get credit even if you're in a different state moving from where you maybe contacted them before. So
Wow.
it's interesting.
I did not know that. That blows my mind. It really
Yeah.
does.
In Colorado, we actually have a law that says that a client has the right to choose. And so they can sign a form saying, do not represent me, if they want to break ties with one of these web-based services, or even with a referral agent. They can choose who they want to represent them.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But how many people know that exists without going
Right.
through someone like you who has that knowledge? Yes.
Right. Yeah. Not many. Yeah. So we're just going to conclude here. Unless
Yeah, I just so my question is obviously our senior summit is servicing people all over the United States. And so I think we have speakers from 9 different states. And so the information that we're sharing is applicable to anywhere you go. So I know you have a free gift for everyone if they would like to have your checklist. Do you want to just say a little bit about what that is?
Yeah. So I have a little checklist. It's called the top 10 things a senior referral placement agent considers for placement. So it's just something that would help you know, when choosing an agent, what you're looking for and what that agent should be looking for on your behalf. So it's just a little takeaway, and it has 10 things on there just to keep you educated on what a placement agent considers for placement. And if you're working with an agent, they should be looking at these things.
And we will have that available with the video here. So if you're watching this video, you should see a little gift, a little package. And if you click on that, you can get access to that checklist. And also in wrapping up, Jennifer, so since you are in Colorado, and say if someone who's watching this is from another state, can they still reach out to you, or what would be the best way then?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if someone is out of state and they want to move to Colorado, definitely reach out to me. I can definitely help with that. If anyone's out of state and they're looking for an agent in their own market, they can reach out to me. I can look on our on the NPRA website and help guide you to an agent that would work in wherever you might live. I recently helped someone get connected with someone in West Virginia. So there's agents all across the country. So definitely reach out. I can help, whether it's needs here in Colorado or needs in another state. I'll connect you to someone that can help.
Perfect. No, I thank you so much. This is very valuable information. And again, the more we can educate our seniors and their families, then the better we can help them get the best care that they deserve. So is there anything, Jennifer, in closing that you would like to say?
No, I wanted to make sure, and here's my
Okay, there
contact
you go.
information.
Absolutely.
So I'll just leave that up there for a second. If anybody needs to contact me, they can. Like I said, I can either help you with needs here in Colorado, or I can connect you with someone in another state if that was a need. And then I just want to thank you. I appreciate your time and attention and the opportunity to be with you today and to speak. Yeah, so I appreciate it.
Really appreciate that. And just to let everyone know is everyone that has registered will have received a PDF or, document, and just with the agenda, what the videos are, and then each speaker in that area of need. So if you're looking at the area of need for 2, which is navigating the healthcare system, in that packet, in that PDF is going to be a page about Jennifer and her services. So all her contact information will be there, her bio will be there. So we're going to make sure that all of our resources, all of our speakers will have their contact information there for you, easily, readily available for you to utilize. So,
Thank
with
you.
that,
I would
yeah,
like to say one thing. It just
sure.
occurred to me that I would be remiss if I didn't say that, I know a lot of people, it's really important to them to age in place in their own home. And I think that's fantastic if you have the means to do so, and the support system around you, then I applaud that, every day. If you don't though, and you are unable to age safely in your own home for whatever reason, or maybe you don't want to, or maybe the isolation piece is something that's concern to you because maybe your family is smaller and you don't have a good support system around you. Always consider the senior living options, because until you step in one, you really don't understand what all they have to offer. They're doing some amazing things. In the way that the activities that they do, the social engagement, the like I mentioned earlier, the dining experience. They build communities around the dining experience in some communities, and the excursions, and they're just doing some amazing things. And so I just would hope that people would consider that an option, because it just hits so many marks on the needs of the aging adult. Not to mention it helps you downsize all the stuff we accumulate in life, and we're just up to our ears and stuff. And it helps you just kind of sift. If you think early enough, you can sift through all those things and really get to a place where you're just enjoying the rest of your life, and
Absolutely. And that brings up a great point. That's why, 28 topics, 28 speakers, to give you the big exposure to all the things and all the resources. And then you just need to work with your family and your loved ones as what are the best options for you. We're going to have her name is Sarah Washburn, and her company is Peace, Peace by Peace, Piece. And she is a decluttering and downsizing expert for seniors. And so she's going to be another speaker at the summit. So we're hoping that we're bringing all of these different professionals that can just let you know what's out there and what you can utilize. So Jennifer, thank you so much. I look forward to working with you in the future, and we will talk to you soon.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.